Hey, fabulous firsties, it's Miss Douglas. Today we are on day number 7 of our math workshop lesson. So today is Thursday, March 26th. We are starting a new unit today. And I am super excited that I am the one who gets to do it with you. All right, throughout this year, we have been asked to use the 100th chart, which is this little guy, as a tool to find out one more, one less, as well as some missing numbers. Today we're going to look at the numbers all the way up to 200. That's right. We're going to look up to numbers to 200. 200. And we're going to think about some of the patterns that we've used to count up to 100. And then how that can help us figure out missing numbers all the way up to 200. Okay, so we're really looking for patterns today. We're trying to figure out the patterns that we used on this chart and see if they can apply to a chart going up to 200. All right. Say, my thinking job is, how can I use what I know about the 100th chart to help me figure out missing numbers over 200? Okay, so what can we know? What can we use? How can we use what we know about the number chart 100 to figure out missing numbers to 200? Okay, so this is the 200th chart. We are going to practice some counting on here. While I point out the numbers, you're going to say them. Here we go. Oopsies. I think I have the wrong one. This one, right here. Well, I point to the numbers, you're going to tell me what the number is. But before we do that, we're going to practice some pattern numbers. We can count by 2s. We can count by 5s. We can count and start by any number as long as we continue to count, okay? So we are going to practice that right now. We are going to count by 5s. And while we count by 5s, I'll point. So I have 101. If I want to count by 5s, all I have to do is count 5 more in my brain. Right there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I count to 5, I have 101, 105, 110, right? So my first 5 is going to be, well, it's going to be 100, right? And then 105, 110, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 115, 120, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 125, 130, 135, 140, 145, 150. All right, so we counted by 5s from 100 to 150. Now we're going to count by 10s. We're going to start counting by 10s. Remember, when I think of 10s, I think of a 10 stick and counting by 10s. So is this the 10s column? I can tell the 10s column because the last number, they're always zeros, because when I have 10, the last number in 10 is a 0. So I'm looking for the column that has a last number that is 10. The last number in this column is 1. The last number in this column is 2. This column's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, there's my 0. So I found my 10s column over here. Now I can count by 10s, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. Great job. All right. Now I'm going to ask you what a number is, and I want you to tell me what the number is. I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to choose. What number is this number? What number is this number? If you said 145, 145, you are correct. Great job. Next number, what is this number? I'll give you a minute. What number is this? If you said 194, you are correct. Great job. Next number. What number is this? If you said 103, you are correct. Last one. What number is this? If you said 139, you are correct. Great job. Great job counting and trying to figure out the numbers. All right. Before we go on, we talked about patterns. And we talked about some patterns, how all the numbers in the rows start with the same number. I see every single number starts with a 1, so actually the same number. All the numbers in the columns have the same numbers in the ones place. So the ones place, is right here. There's the ones place. The tens place is right here. So I have ones, tens, and then the 100th place is right here. So that's 200. I know I have one. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. The ones place is right there. The tens place, yes, is right there. And then this is the 100th place. I did it backwards, I'm sorry. So the ones place is here, the tens place, and then the 100th place is right here. So I know that I have 0 ones. I know I have 0 tens, and I know I have 2 100s. So that means it's 200. Let's look at another one. The number is 143. How many ones do I have in 143? How many ones do I have in 143? How many ones? If you said I have 3 ones, you are correct. I have 3 ones. How many tens do I have? How many tens do I have? Yes, if you said 4 tens, you are correct. I have 4 tens. And then 100s, how many 100s do I have? Yes, I have 1 100. So I have 143. 143, great job. We're going to move on to a new one. Let's see if you guys can solve this one. The number is 112. How many ones do I have? How many ones do I have? If you said 2 ones, you are correct. I have 2 ones. How many tens do I have? Yes, I have 1 10. And how many 100s do I have? Yes, I have 1 100. So I have 112. Great job. Today we're going to play a game of missing numbers. We're going to use what we know about the 100s chart to guess the missing numbers. We've played this game a few times before, so it's going to be easy for you to remember how to play. But if you forget, here are the rules. the first rule. Partner 1 covers up 3 numbers. They cover up 3 numbers. So you're going to have a chart like this. Partner number 1 is going to cover up 3 numbers. 3 numbers. You can use your fingers, or you can use like a cube if you have it. Okay. Partner number is going to cover up 3 numbers. Partner 2 is not going to look. Partner 2 is not going to look. That would be cheating. Rule number 2. Partner number 2 opens their eyes and figures out the number that's covered. But they don't uncover the number. They just figure out what the number is. Rule number 3. Oh, they figure out the number is. Then they ask, how do you know it's this number? How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? Rule number 3, both partners record what they think it is, and then they switch turns. I'm going to read it again. Partner number 1 covers up 3 numbers, and partner 2 is not looking. Partner 2 opens their eyes and figures out the numbers. They're going to write it down on the paper, and they're going to ask their partner, how do you know? How do you know it's this number? Rule number 3, both partners record, and then rule number 4, you switch turns. We're going to play the game right now. I'm going to be partner number 1. You're going to be partner number 2 because I live with myself, so I don't have a partner here. Okay. Partner number 1 covers up 3 numbers. Partner 2 is not looking. All right, I got you. I'm going to use my Post-it notes. That way you'll be able to peek and you can still see. Covering up 3 numbers. And we're not peeking. Don't peek. Okay. So we finished step number 1. Miss Douglas covered up 3 numbers. Partner 2 opens their eyes and figures out the numbers. All right, here we go. That's you. Got to figure out the numbers. All right. Oh, before we do that, I forgot to show you this very important page. This is our recording sheet right here. So we each have a line. We're doing round 1 right now. I'm right here. That's Miss Douglas, Miss D. And this is you. I'm going to put a U here to remind you that that's you. When we record, that's where we're going to record it. I'm only doing 3 numbers, so I'm going to cross this last one out because we don't need that one. We're just doing 3 numbers. So I'm going to record my numbers here, and then you're going to record the numbers there. So your paper should look like my paper. We'll do 2 rounds today. I don't think we're going to do a 3rd round. So your paper should look like my paper. You can pause it and make your paper look like my paper. Go. All right, great job. So that's our paper. The second rule was we had the partner 2 open their eyes and figures out the number. So I covered up my 3 numbers. Now partner number 2 is going to open their eyes and you are going to figure out the numbers. Looking at the numbers. Remember, when we try to find the missing number, we're looking for patterns in the numbers. We're looking for patterns. Remember, we can count by 5s. We can count by 10s. We can count by 1s. We can look for the whole columns and the whole number, the first number in the column. This is a column. We can look at the second number in the row. I'm sorry, we can look at the first number in the row or the second number in the column or the first number in the column. All right, so the next one is how do we know? How do we know? How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? All right, so let's go to the first one. I'm going to uncover this one. Oh, first we got to record. So what do you think it is, the first one? We're looking at the first one. Here's number 1. Here's number 2. Here's number 3. We're looking at the first one. You need to figure out what number is under number 1. What number is under number 1? I'm going to record what I think is under number 1, but I'm not going to show you yet. All right. Then I'm going to record what I think is under number 2. And then I'm going to record what I think is under number 3. So I have 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to record what I think it is. While I'm doing that, you're going to record what you think it is. While I'm recording, then you can record what you think it is. Hold that up for you. What do you think is under number 1, 2, and 3? What's under number 1, 2, and 3? All right. So the last thing is that we have to figure out how do we know. All right, so I'll show you my paper. I said the first one was 34. Well, how do I know that it's 34? And I know it's 34 because I started at 31 and I counted forward, or I counted on from 31 to get to the one that's covered up. So 31, 32, 33, 34. I know it's 34. So I wrote, and I was right, it was 34. So if you had 34 on your paper, you can give yourself a star. I'll give myself a star. All right, the next one I think is 67. So I'm going to look on my paper, 67. And how do I know that it's 67? I know it's 67 because this column's 50s. This column is 7, 17, 27, 37, 47, 57. So I know this has to be a 7, and this is a 6. This is a 60, so it has to be 67. 67. Let's see if it is 67. And it was. If you got it right, give yourself a star next to your work. 67. All right. And the last one I said was 96. I think that's a 6. Yes, 96. Let's see if I got it right. 96. So 96. I can count from anyway. So 90, 91, 92, 93, 90. But wait, I see 95 right there. Why isn't this one 96? I counted onward and I looked at the number next to it and it says 95. The number after 5 should be 6, so I think this one is 96. But when I double check my work, 91, 92, 93, 94, it's probably 94, and it is. It's 94. But why did I get 96? I think I got 96 because 95 is right next to 96, but I counted the wrong way. So that's okay, Miss Douglas. You got the next one. Thank you. 96, I counted the wrong way. 96 is right there. So the answer is 94. If you didn't get 94, you can write the correct answer on the top and just circle it, and that's all you got to do. All right, now we're going to start playing on round 2. I'm going to cover up 3 more. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to cover up 3 more. All right. All right, covered up 3 more. We're starting the new one, so you need to have round 2. You need to make sure you have 1 line for me, 1 line for you. Here's Miss Douglas. Here's you. We're on round 2, just like we did up here. Okay. So I covered up my 3 numbers. Part number 2 is going to open their eyes, and we're going to figure out the numbers. You're going to figure out the numbers. So I have 1, 2, and 3. I need to figure out what's under number 1. What's under number 1? Think about what's under number 1 and use those patterns to help you figure out what's under the missing number. Remember, we can count onward. We can find patterns in any number from the first column, from the ones column, or from the tens column, or from the hundreds column. So they could all have different patterns. Find the pattern to help you find the missing number. Use the pattern to help you find the missing number. Great job. All right, so number 1, I'm going to guess that it is 32. Number 2, I'm going to guess is 58. And then number 3, I'm guessing is 109, 119, I think. Okay, so here are my numbers. I guess 32, I guess 58, and I guess 119. Let's see what they are. Now, how we have to figure out how do I know those in the numbers. So I think the first one is 32. And I know because I counted onward from 31, 32. And I got it right, so I'm going to give myself a star. Yes, a star. 32. Next one is number 2. I'm going to look at my thing. I'm going to use what I know about patterns to help me find the missing number. I know this column is 50s. This column is 40s. This column is 60s. So if I go 57, and I know the tens column on this I know the tens place on this column is 8s. So 50, 58, and I was right again. So I get a new star. And the last one, I said it was 119, and I counted 119 because they started at 115, and I counted on 115, 116, 117, 118, 119. But looking at my paper, that's not how you write 119. Looking at the 100s chart, I see there is 9 ones, 1 10, and 1 100. That's 119, not this one. So I'm going to make my right answer on top, and my wrong one I'm going to leave there. You guys can keep playing this game. You can use your 100s chart, or you can push yourself to use your 200s chart. Remember the rules. Partner 1 covers up 3 numbers. Partner 2 is not looking. Partner 2 opens up their eyes, figures out the number, and asks, how do you know? Then you record, and then you switch turns. Okay, so this is the missing numbers game. You can play by yourself or with a parent or sibling now. Great job today.